embracing hybrid learning, strategies for blending in person and digital training. So please join me in welcoming our moderator, Mr. Bhushan Kulkarni, VP Learning and Development at ICICI Lombard General Insurance Company Limited. Please put your hands together for Mr. Kulkarni. Bhushan is a passionate talent development specialist dedicated to empowering both individuals and teams with compassion. His intention is to expand possibilities through tough empathy, leading to transformational and positive shifts. With over 2 decades of corporate experience, Bhushan began his career in business development, marketing, and channel development. He later specialized in leadership, talent, organization development, and change. Currently, Bhushan heads the learning, leadership, and organizational development at ICICI Lombard, a $3 billion general insurance company based in India. In his role, he leads a team that conceptualizes the why, what, and how of capability building, implements technology tools for learning, and drives managerial leadership and organizational development. With this, I would like to call upon stage all our panelists. Ms. Deepti Jadhav, Head of L&D, TM, DNI, and Employee Engagement, Pan India at ISSS Facility Services India Private Limited. Mr. Dakshet Mehta, VP Learning and Development at JPMorganChase. Ms. Bhavika Valecha, VP Global L&D at the Citco Group Limited. Mr. Makarand Rangnekar, Head of Learning and Development and HR at the Sharda Motors Industry Limited. Mr. Pankaj Khandewale, VP and Head Training at Future Generali India Insurance Company Limited. Mr. Mukesh Kataria, VP Head and L&D at QualityKiosk. Can we have a big round of applause for the moderator and all our panelists? I would request Mr. Bhushan to carry forward the conversation.
They need to open it. Yeah, hello. Audible? Thank you for making it back into the room, taking 15 minutes on a 10-minute break, but still making sure that you are here for us. Really honored to have you all here, and I just realized that my introduction was a little longer. I'll make sure next time around it's a little tightly shared with the organizers. But thank you. I'm honored to have the panelists here. And we are dealing into a very important subject. You still recall the subject that the organizer have just declared? By the way, it's displayed here. Can you just help me understand the subject, please? It's embracing hybrid learning, and strategizing the blending of, in-person and digital trainings. Okay, question for all of you. How many of you have embraced hybrid learning in some form or the other in your organizations? You have the choice of raising your hand. You have the choice of standing up. If you have embraced it fully, you raise the hand like this, you stand up, you can dance, you have all the freedom to do it. Okay, so you have embraced. How many of you think that you have mastered the art of hybrid learning within the organization? Okay, I'll give you the percentage. If you feel that you have mastered it between 50 and 100%, you can stand up, you can start dancing. There's no music, by the way, but you can do that. No dances? Okay. Anyone between 25 and 50? 50%? So you say that you have mastered. Wow, amazing. Thank you. So we may take some masterclass from you. Guide me. Okay. Anyone who is between 10 and 25? Mastery of hybrid learning. Cool. So we are just thinking, and there are some contemplations that are happening saying, okay, how do I attribute the percentages to mastery? What does mastery mean? And all of that. That's question number one. By the way, there are some research that shows or that tells us that this is a McKinsey research, 2023. 24, I'm yet to really look at that data. But they said that 90% of the organization have embraced hybrid learning in some form or the other. that research further goes on to say that only 25% feel they have mastered the methods or techniques of hybrid learnings. There's yet another Deloitte research that talks about the impact, the business impact of this, and it says that people who have embraced hybrid learning have seen an improvement of 30% learner engagement and 20% faster skill acquisition. Our presenting partner, LinkedIn, again has a latest research, 2024 research, where they say that 82% of employees prefer the hybrid way of learning, right? Now that's an interesting, 82% is staggering percentage, but I'm also, by the way, wondering, what is it that those 18% want? Well, the LinkedIn partners can really guide me. They have the kiosks outside, and they can guide me what does that 18% does. But these are some numbers. Now, with that numbers, it is apparent that hybrid learning is important for learning and development professionals to really understand, embrace, figure it out. But the challenge and the important question for this panel and for all of us is, how do we make it engaging, interesting, and impactful? And precisely that is the purpose of this panel, and that's where I would like to direct my first question to Mukesh, saying, what are the principles or design principles one should really take care of while looking at hybrid learning things? Because that would be something that would be of interest to all of us. What principles, what will work commonly?
Sure. Thank you, Bhushan. In my opinion, I'll pick up pointers which the LinkedIn team said, the power of 3. The first principle, according to me, what works for hybrid learning is keep learner at the heart of it. It has to be learner-centric. So whatever you are doing it for the learner to benefit. That's the first principle. 2, keep the organization objectives and ROI as your second guiding principle. Whatever you are doing for the learner, it is to help the organization get some benefit out of it. And the third is, hybrid means there are 2 things, and you are stitching the journey between the 2. How can you stitch the journey between an instructor-led session and a self-paced learning, which is seamless, engaging, and consumable by the learner at their own pace, at their own time? So if you keep these 3 principles, I think whatever you're doing with hybrid learning will definitely turn out to be a success story.
Great, thank you. So 3 things that you're talking about: learner benefit, ROI, and seamless consumption of the content. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay, will you be able to take something for your organization? Yes, no, you can raise your hand out of these 3 pointers.
Yep.
Yes, no, okay, 1 hand. Thank you so much for being so generous. Really, okay. So, but that brings me to another question, Bhavika, and this is for you, Bhavika. While Mukesh has articulated the design principles, right? What are the common mistakes an organization can make while looking at these principles or while embracing hybrid learning as a part of their organization culture? If you could share your experience and thoughts on that, that would be great.
Sure. So basically, I'm from an organization which is extremely diverse, and it's all over the world, from offices where there are 1,000 people to 30 people. So we have, of course, 10,000 LinkedIn licenses, and the only way we have worked is through blended learning. But what we have noticed is that there are certain regions and certain cultures and certain demographics that require some amount of customization. And I think the biggest mistake that we make is thinking that while we have created a wonderful journey or product where every learner and everybody goes through the content, we need to make it a little bit culture specific. We need to also look at certain demographics where they are either first-time managers or they are coaches for the first time, where there's a lot of intervention that is in person that is required. The other thing is also when we look at the topics that we are looking at, especially leadership skills, that requires smaller and more consistent interventions where digital pieces can give knowledge, but the skill and practice definitely requires you to have a mentor, somebody who's there throughout your journey. So I guess while we have all embraced hybrid learning, we have not mastered it as yet. There's still a long way to go. And I think even with the things like AI coach and all that, LinkedIn has also looked at personalization, but we have to also personalize the blended journey so that every learner gets exactly what they need in their culture, in their location, and in their line of business.
Okay, so I picked up 4 words, Bhavika, when you're talking about, and of course, our esteemed audience also would have picked up what they really want for their organization. But one, you referred to the culture part of it. So how do you align the hybrid learning to the cultural context of the organization? That becomes very important. So which tool, what methods, and that could be a good mistake. Or the second one you spoke about is the demographics part of it. You also referred to the topic, right? Which topic can really blend well with hybrid versus something else, and personalization. Did I get that
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so that then brings me to yet another question. We are talking of hybrid, which means technology is one aspect of it, but the other important aspect of it is people. Now, so Pankaj, I have a question for you. How do we maintain the human connection in this digital learning space? Because hybrid, my general thinking inclination is it's digital, it's tools, it's maybe some technology and all of that. But how do we take care of the people side when we look at this hybrid model or the design principles, etc.?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I think the larger question is where do we want to take the learners? So whether it is digital or in-person training, but importantly, when we talk of learning, what do we mean by learning? How do we define it? Largely, it is defined by the assessments that we do. So it could be a recall of the information that we have shared, could be learning. It could be a skill that has been imparted and learned, that could be learning. So one part is focusing on what exactly we mean by learning. And the second part is that learning can be imparted. We have seen in the recent past that, when everyone was, during COVID, everyone was homebound. Learning information can be made accessible through digital tools. But how much learning has actually happened? There we need some kind of human touch also, human connection, because it is about people. So it's not about machine learning where two machines are learning from each other. It's about people who are learning from other people. So that's point number 2. Point number 3 is that this connection, when we talk of human connection, it is actually about empathy. It is actually about confidence, building trust, motivating people, which I do agree that in some context it can be done through digital tools also, but human connectivity has to be with human beings. I'll give you quick examples. I'm in insurance industry where people who are 10th pass can become agents. And for them, this complex knowledge is very difficult to comprehend. And they can scroll through the data information provided or watch the videos. But they would like someone to get connected and explain them further. Okay. I have seen this Khan Academies, Khan Migo. They are using AI tools which will help the teachers. So it's an aid and assistant for the teachers. They say that we don't come in between you and the student. So digitization or digital tools can help the people who are actually training much more than expecting people from, because I belong to this industry now. We have Bima Vahak, Bhushan, you are also in the same industry. Bima Vahak is a concept being propagated by the regulator, which says that in rural areas, women will be the distributors. And please understand, women at rural level, the digitization, even having a 10 rupee recharge is difficult sometimes. We are talking of that kind of population. Giving them online training without having human connection is extremely difficult, and there could be, mis-selling also in that. So I think human connection during the training is very important. I'm not saying that it has to be always in-person training, but digital tools can be very handy with the trainer as well as with the participants also. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So what I heard you say is two important words: empathy and building trust and human connection, even if you are using digital tools. So how many of you face this difficulty of when you are using digital tools or synchronous engagement with audience through technology, you are not sure how many of them are remaining engaged throughout the session. Is it still difficult, or you have been able to crack few tools? Raise your hand if you find it difficult, saying we are not sure whether people are remaining as engaged as they are in the classroom. Which means we have made a journey post-pandemic and still we have these challenges, which means there is some basic human connection that still needs to be worked out. And that's where your point is extremely powerful. See, most of our esteemed audience also has this as one of the important challenges. And maybe they would want to seek some inputs through you later as to how have you cracked it in your universe and all. Now that brings me to a question, Deepti, for you. What are some of the high impact engagement techniques that work well in hybrid methods? Or maybe when we were talking, I realized that there's something that you have done within your organization for a blue-collared employee base. How do you use digital tools? How do you engage? How do you know they are engaged? And all of that. Maybe all of us can take some good learnings from you from that. So if you could just help us with
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So to start with, I think I want to ride on the points that Pankaj made in terms of empathy and building trust, right? And I come from ISS, majority, 80% of my employees are frontline workers, and they're blue-collar employees who do not have access to a laptop or a system. So to get them engaged in learning, there's just two things that hold a lot of value. One is respect, because the strata that they come from, everybody will look down upon them or think that these are people who are here to serve me, not necessarily human beings. So every training program that is designed for them has to have trust and empathy built into the content, right? Because it's important for the trainer to make a connect. And second of all, like I said, the first one was respect, and the second one is what's in it for them? Do I want to use floral language and use high-fundu, initiatives which will make them feel that, wow, the organization is great. But if I'm not able to use them at ground level, the reality is that it's going to fail and not be sustainable. So from that perspective, we look at sustainable initiatives, like we have a tie-up with Maya Care Foundation, and this is a complimentary service that we have for all of our employees, where they can call our, when they make these calls, they're available in 8 different languages, and they can call anonymously, sharing any sort of grievances that they have, and we have certified therapists who do assist them. And that's working beautifully for us, because we get a monthly report in terms of how is it that we can engage with them better. So, in the interest of time, I'll talk about these two, and maybe later.
Sure, yeah, that is helpful. So one, I heard two powerful words. One is respect and connection. And the second one is sustainability. And you also kind of referred to if someone is feeling burned out, which was the topic of our earlier panelist. And by the way, I was feeling burned out looking at, the presenter's background. From the jewelry, and I was just about very well tempted to ask in the break, can I reduce the burnout by taking a discount from you, from your jewelry organization? So, but that could be my way of kind of reducing my burnout, by the way. So that's another reference that you gave, and I think that helps. It starts with respect. Then how do you sustain that are some of the methods that you really want to kind of use it. Yeah. So, in fact, then that brings me to yet another point. So we spoke about, the principles, the models and all of that. We spoke about the human connection and all. On the technology side, so hybrid learning also has to do with technology, right? And Dakshet, you come from that background, representing that kind of an industry. So my question is, what are these emerging technologies? I mean, people refer to it fondly as AI, AR, VR, adaptive learning, and many other words, generative AI, all those things. And of course, all those words have their own place. I am not undermining that at all. But, what are these emerging technologies? How are they shaping hybrid learning? And importantly, how can organization use analytics, data analytics as a tool to kind of figure out whether hybrid learning, non-hybrid learning. So technology on two aspects is what I'm asking. One, how are they helping us embrace hybrid learning? And second, how are they helping us look at data to be able to decide hybrid learning or otherwise?
Sure.
If you can highlight that.
Sure, and thank you for that question. Before I jump into that, I have a story to share on what Deepti said, right? This is of an incident that happened in one of the organizations that I've worked, wherein you all generally know that our security teams have those alarms and maybe do testing, and then they pass a message, this is a false alarm or something like that, right? The drills that we go through, drills, right? The mock drills. One of such incident happened wherein one of the employee or rather the security personnel fumbled upon speaking the message, right? They are not so fluent in the language that they use, right? But they are supposed to use the given script, fumbled upon. And people on the floor laughed. One of them came to us as an L&D team and said, can we do something for these guys who are really the gatekeepers of our offices? And they are the first set of people with whom any visitor will meet them, right? We said, fantastic, let's do that. And we ran a campaign for all of them. Now, the problem here is the communication skill that we were doing, participants were even hesitant to sit in the class and attend the session. For the same reason, they are not fluent in English, and somebody is going to come with a suit, boot, tie and talk about, hey, here is what we do in presentation skill class, right? You don't have connect. So when I spoke to most of them, they said, sir, हमने मराठी मीडियम से पढ़ाई की है, so English में बात करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है. Now, I did my schooling from vernacular medium, and when I said that, I have studied in Gujarati medium, and then if I can do it, you guys can also do it. It's just a matter of practice. There was a great respect and a connect with them, and I committed to them saying, when I pass through the security gate, I'm going to stop with you and have a conversation in English. Now, the interesting part here is, when they see me coming, you can understand they're like, oh, sir, aa rahe, right? You don't want to call it sir, but that's still the culture. When you stand with them for a minute, they feel respectful and the things happen, right? That's a story to share on what Deepti said. To your point, on hybrid learning and a newer technology, I think the way I look at it is extended to personalization. The hyper-personalization is something which is kicking in, and we need to embrace that. Whatever technology, whether we call it AR, VR, Gen AI, blended learning 3.0, all that summed up together talks about engaging learning, immersive learning. So what suits your group may not suit the other group. But all this put together calls for one thing, which is an engaging learning experience for everyone, right? The tools and techniques that are available, the tools and techniques, if we talk about analytics, the analytics will give us the idea in terms of, what learners are consuming. And if you can blend that with your intelligent solutions and provide right kind of recommendation for an employee who's looking for a kind of learning. It may not be same for all of us from an L&D standpoint. Our journeys are different, our needs are different. And if that is what a right recommendation for a right employee can happen, it's going to win the hearts of those employees, and you will see an organization which scales up very faster. So I think that's something I want to share over here.
Great, thank you. Connecting with the learner and engaging learning experience. So connecting with the learners through the story that you shared and engaging learner experiences through the technological tools. If you are able to kind of identify those levers when you are using these tools, that would be great. So I remember when I was doing my foundation level coach training and the advanced level coach training, my teacher always told me that meet the coachee where the coachee is, literally and figuratively. Okay, so that's what I thought you also referred to when it comes to learner. Okay, so that brings me to an important point, and I want to talk to you, Mukesh, on that. How do we measure the success of hybrid learning? As in, we are talking about it, okay? Have we embraced hybrid learning? Most of them, yes. Have we mastered? Not yet. We are talking about tools, we are talking about human connection, but ultimately, you have to put something on the slide and present it to your stakeholder saying, बॉस ये मैं कर रहा हूँ, ये क्या हो क्या रहा है इसका? I mean, पिछले 1-2 साल में डेटा क्या बोल रहा है, कैसे बोल रहा है? So what is it that we should do? What should convince the stakeholder that this hybrid learning is working for the organization? Do you have any experience of that, and are you doing something about it?
Sure. I think ROI is the most talked about topic in any L&D forum. So I came prepared for it. I think learning completions is one of a traditional metrics, whether it is number of hours, number of sessions. That's the first parameter that we show to our leaders saying, yeah, learning is happening in the organization. But I think the expectation of management is much beyond that. What are we getting out of it? So this is where I just thought I'll share one quick slide. This is the framework which I typically use in my organization. I hope it comes up. Yeah. So the ROI impact got 4 buckets. Anybody who's doing learning, if you can show this kind of an output to your management, they'll be pretty happy. That's what's happening with me at least. So is learning helping you control attrition in the organization? That's the HR bucket. Is it helping you do job rotations? Is it helping you create an impact on the pyramid of the organization? Similarly, if you see on the other side, there's a resource management. How fast you're able to fulfill the resource requirement in the organization. Similarly, if you see the client bucket, how is it that you're improving client satisfaction? Is learning helping you grow more business? So these are some of the metrics, and of course, there's a math behind it. How do you calculate this? If it's not coming up, I'll mail it across to all of you. But what I'm also going to share is one success story of how this has actually hit the ground. So we have done a lot of hybrid learning, and I must say this got decent level of maturity. So we started with 100 learners, saying 100 managers, how is it that they can do hybrid learning and show an impact in the organization? So we got the content from Harvard, saying this is self-learning module, and it is sandwiched by an instructor, a professor, who gives a debrief and says, okay, this is what you learned through the video-based learning, and did you apply this somewhere? Did it success? Did it fail? If it failed, how is it I can guide you to make this learning stick to the ground and therefore realize these benefits? We scaled up. We said, okay, this pilot is successful. We said power of 3, so we multiplied by 3. So instead of 100, now we said pilot 2 is 300 learners. And we said from a manager to a VP, does everybody know technology? Do they know what is AI? Do they know what is ML? Do they know what is cloud? Do they know what is data science, big data? They need to know. They may not code, but they should be aware and have meaningful conversations on that. So that's the second pilot we ran, where we had digital learning, we had sessions from SME to clear the concepts. We said real success will come if I can scale it. That's where we took 1,000 learners. And those 1,000 learners had a 3-month learning journey, which had concepts on technology, concepts on soft skills, concepts on agile, but all of this was in a hybrid format. Very tempted to show you that slide, but it's not coming up. There's a post-effectiveness survey we did, and managers of these learners, 70% of them said there is a big benefit that they could, I think this is what I wanted to show. So you see 941, this is a real dashboard. I just had to mask a little bit of data, but this is live. 941 learners participated, 490 participated in survey. So there's a 52% completion. Some questions, whether the learning objectives were clear, not clear. Did they like the program, not like the program? So all metrics around what the learners have to say. This is the meat of the dashboard. This is what the manager of the learner say. And I want you to focus on the middle one, which says productivity improvement, 71%. Improved knowledge, 14%. Helped us acquire new business, 6%. higher customer charge out rate 2%, increased revenue 1%. These, in my opinion, are some of the real metrics which is beyond learning completion.
Sure, thank you. That is so insightful. In fact, it reminded me of my couple of conversations. One was with Professor Sidal Neely. She teaches in Harvard, and for the past 20 years, she's been working on something called as remote work. So remote working. So didn't wait for COVID to happen, but that's something that she has been doing some productivity studies and all of that. And second conversation was with Jack Phillip and Petty Phillip, and they most of us would know that they have extensively worked on ROI. In fact, they run that the institute by that name. So when I was interacting with them, they have done some extensive work sector-wise on how do you really apply formulas to show ROI in case if you want to go that route. Many organizations may or may not want to go and want to stop only at reaction level or maybe skill level and all, but there is something quite extensively available. So thanks for reminding that. But that brings me to yet another question, and that's to Makarand. What is the future of hybrid learning? How do you see it panning up in the next 18 to 36 months? We have been talking about a lot of tools, technology, this, that. फ्यूचर में क्या है, क्या दिख रहा है, क्या करना है हाइब्रिड लर्निंग को लेकर?
फिलहाल तो कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है, बट ऑन अ लाइटर नोट, whenever you give a mic to a trainer, the PPT follows. But having said that,
you may want to the mic.
Am I audible? A trainer has to be audible, right? Well, I feel and I strongly believe that before I answer to that question, what the future lies. There's a question that I would like to ask you all, including my fellow panelists, and I don't need an answer. Okay, you can take 30 seconds, but calculate your intrinsic value, the way we do it for our organizations, right? And I keep on asking this question to myself every quarter, maybe, what am I supposed to do next quarter? Am I relevant for the next 12 months? Well, the answer, I would need a presentation, but don't worry, I'm not going to present anything. But it lies in your mobile phones, your content history, what are you consuming, what is the content, the quality of content that we are consuming. Is it for entertainment? Is it for information? If it is for information, is it converting into knowledge? Because I strongly believe that the future, if you're talking about 2035, and if I'm still supposed to be relevant in my organization, I'm supposed to build value not just for myself, but also to the organization, correct? And the straight answer is, hybrid is here to stay. But it is important that, whatever this panel said, value creation, engagement, respect, these are emotional components, emotional quotients, but they are true, they are strong, they are at the core. It looks like a skeleton in the human body, it can't change. You can keep on changing the layer, which is the hybrid, which is the AI, which is, we have been talking about since morning 8 o'clock. And the second part to it is, I strongly believe that as an L&D leader, whatever I'm consuming as an information, can I convert that into knowledge for my stakeholders? Right? Because they are going to ask me these questions in the coming days. Right? And that's where I would like, again, to ask you one more question. Though with all due respect, Mukesh talks about ROI, but in Dale Carnegie, I was a consultant, and we used to talk about ROE, which is return on experience. And I guess we'll have to, as L&D leaders, keep on, asking this question to ourselves, because the answer lies in your audience smile. If they're smiling, if they are coming back with a heart full of feedback, I guess, you have given the experience. For which they have invested 8 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, or just 15 minutes, right? And I think AI, the hybrid culture will help us as leaders to scale, to take better decisions definitely evaluate,
Yeah.
the outcome of our learning,
Right.
both in terms of investment as well as experience.
Yeah.
But yes, at an organizational level, I think we'll have to be more of a consultative sellers, where we can talk and persuade our leaders to invest in newer technologies, better way of doing imparting training or enhancing the experience.
Yeah, I think that future thing that you're talking about,
Right.
setting up, so ROI, can it be ROEI is my take. So return on experience and investment. If we are able to kind of set the future in that direction and sell our proposition to our internal stakeholders, I think that would be great. I think we have run out of time. She has also rung a bell, and I may not want to have another look from her. And before that, we would have loved to have questions, but then what I have negotiated with them, as Makarand was talking to you and as all the panelists were talking to you, they are going to be around for some time. If you have any questions, today, while the world is talking about, tariffs and counter tariffs and equivalent tariffs, they are not going to add any tariff to your questions. It's going to be free for today. So if you have any questions that is still unanswered or want to go deep with any of the expert panelists that I am privileged to have today, they are going to be around. Just go reach out to them and have a conversation. But really appreciate your time, your patience, and you're sincerely listening and taking notes or raising hands as and when we requested you. So thank you again to all of you and to the panelists.
Thank you so much, Bhushan sir, for setting another benchmark by completing the panel in 30 minutes. So yes, and if you have any questions, you can connect with the speakers. They are all around. And I would like to call upon stage Ms. Kanika Tiwari, CEO at Go Diverse, to do the honors.